And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Episode 9 here of TECSpertZ. Your hosts, Anthony, Markayla, Max, and Brendan here for you, talking about everything East Carolina sports. I'd like to let you know that TECSpertZ is sponsored by The Big Vape Theory and East Carolina University's Office of Undergraduate Research. And keep in mind that TECSpertZ is a collaboration between WZMB and the East Carolinian. Well, coming off a week here for the ECU football Pirates, victorious. Becoming 4-4 with a win against South Florida. 29-14 was the final score. The running attack was back in action. Rajee Harris, 22 carries, 100 yards, and punched into the end zone, as well as Mr. Mitchell as well. He punched in the end zone, 16 carries on 79 yards. Holton Ahlers looked a lot more better. 21 for 35, 220 yards in the air, and a touchdown. And the defense played superb as usual. What do we got?
Well, we're 4-4 now, back to even.
That's right.
Bouncing back after we took that loss against, I'm sorry, I forgot who we were talking about. Who we lost
took
right
a loss
before.
against Houston.
Yes, we did.
UCF.
Yeah.
It was Houston.
UCF.
So bounce back after a loss to Houston, and we're looking forward to another, I guess, winnable game, or a game that we look at ECU as not the underdogs, and that doesn't happen too often over the course of the seasons over the past couple years. But this is a game that we're looking at. ECU is not the underdog. Excuse me. Temple's at the bottom of the conference. They lost to USF, a team that we beat, and they lost to UCF, a team that we lost to, but could have beaten, should have beaten. If the ball bounced a couple different ways, then we're looking at a different outcome in that game.
And this game offensively kind of not exploded, but took off kind of later in the second half of the football game. First quarter, second quarter. Now, please also be minded here. It was a dreary, rainy evening on Thursday night when they played. Was not really a fun temperature-wise or game to be playing in due to the weather.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be a packed-out game Thursday night, ESPN prime time. Still had about 32,000 people there, but people just kept leaving as the rain just
I
never
don't blame
stopped.
them. People in ponchos, umbrellas, those very committed Pirate fans made their way into the stadium,
Absolutely.
but the rest of the crew, however, did not.
I will say, though, ECU did rank number 10 on crowds for this weekend, which is really great because I was in the crowd, and I thought the crowd was light for an ECU crowd. So even ranking number 10, I'm impressed. But I walked into the stadium, walked onto the field, and it was electric. I'll tell you, I walked in, I was in the stadium, I could see it from the underground, and it was electric. I could just tell getting out there. It was a whole weekend at ECU in Dowdy, home game, expected to win, raining. Purple Haze was just about to start. Steve was coming out. It was the most fun I've had an ECU game in a long time. And it was just electric. You get in there, you could feel the atmosphere. Towels were out. The student section was in it for at least the first half until it got a little too wet for a lot of people and they started going home. But the diehards stayed, and I'm telling you, it was still loud going in the third, fourth quarters because the diehards were all there. So it was exciting. But one thing that I've taken away from this game personally is I'm going to try to stop complaining about wins. Whether they're pretty or whether they're ugly, a win is a win. And I'm looking at some of the stats right now. Obviously, Holton Ahlers had a really great game. Rajee Harris, I think it's probably the first time in this year that he led our team in rushing. And we got C.J. Johnson with a couple tough catches and getting us a lot of yards. But, obviously the negatives here is it was a rainy night and not able to hold on to the football as well as we would like. But we came out with the win, and that's really what matters. Our defense played superb for 3 of the 4 quarters. They struggled a little bit in the second, but,
Other than that, played really good.
Like what you said, we usually kind of start off stronger and then we die down and we let them catch up to us. But I think even though our first half wasn't as good, we held through in the second half, had a second half shutout for them, so that's great. And I know Houston was saying after this game he was happy to have C.J. Johnson in there really getting in the motion. And then during halftime he didn't really go in there and say what's going on. He kind of just said, we know what we're going to do. And then they came out and did it. So I think it was a pretty good game. We can't complain too much. It was a win, like you said.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
offensively, I feel like the passing game was great. We let the passing yards are a little bit more spread out than they typically are. Tyler Snead doesn't have 125 yards, and everybody else has 30. We're looking at a more even. CJ led the team. I'm guessing with about 84 yards it was. He led the team. He didn't score a touchdown. That was by another receiver.
No, 5 receptions, 84 yards.
Okay,
I believe.
Omatosha got a touchdown.
Omatosha, yeah.
With a pretty great touchdown.
It was nice,
right.
Yeah.
Between the spread in the passing game and then you have the even spread in the rushing game with about 180 something between the 2 running backs and a touchdown from each. It's good to see that it's kind of a well-rounded game for the Pirates. We didn't score in the first quarter, but we were able to score in each of the other quarters. Defensively, we let up towards the end, but other than that, it was a pretty well-rounded game. And like you said, I feel like we should stop, complaining about wins, whether they're ugly or they're
absolutely,
pretty.
Especially coming into the later half of the
Right,
season.
yeah.
A win's a win. You
Right.
could win ugly, you can win pretty, but you got to be winning.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter either way. Now, looking at these stat lines, especially Holton Ahlers, that's how I'm going to focus on a little bit more, coming out throughout the entire season as we've been looking at them, to me, it's we win when Holton plays good. When Holton doesn't play good, even if our run game is great, it's hard for us to win.
Yeah.
Our offense is built more around passing the football and using the run as a way to open up some of those options. But everyone's been calling for Mason Garcia this whole time, and I'd like to see him get a little bit more playing time as we move on so that we could have that option. But I've been an advocate this whole time. I think Holton's the right man for the job. If given the time in the pocket, he's going to throw dimes. He did not have a lot of terrible passes this week. Even with the ball being wet, even having trouble grip the football, he was dropping dimes down the field, right on where they had to be, throwing great button hooks. Like, he was exactly where he had to be.
Yeah.
1 touchdown, no interceptions, 220 yards, not even the highest we've seen from Holton. Holton either puts up a lot of yards or not a lot of yards. Like, he's consistently puts up 200 to 300 yards. It's whether he's throwing picks or not. But the offensive line, kudos to them over the last several weeks, really improving and giving Holton that time. When Holton's getting that time, he's going to make the throws.
Yeah.
And that's why I love Holton behind there with his arm threads. I think it's a little bit more threatening, and that allows Rajay or Keaton to be able to gash the middle and then allows us to be able to throw. So both those threats really help us out.
And you can kind of understand why the running attack was key in this game due to the inclement weather.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So running the rock on the ground was the way to go, and they were successful at it. Now, thank goodness that was the case, because had USF shut down our run game, we might have been in a different scenario here.
Different story. Holton would be able to throw a little bit more with
Force
the wet
him
ball.
to pass, throw the ball.
You want to make the calls based on what you feel, not based on what the defense is making you do. So you need to be able to throw it when you want to throw it, and you need to be able to run it when you want to run it. So you can't be forced into throwing the ball.
Yeah, we said in the past that Garcia's the quarterback that's going to run it. Ahlers is really more prone to throw, but he only got 5 less running yards than Mitchell did. So I think he passed one. He helped pass it off to give it to Mitchell and Harris. So I think, like you said, Ahlers had a pretty good game, and that's how we won. So
Yeah, I agree with your point that you were talking about earlier about when Holton plays good, it seems that the Pirates are able to win the game. I would like for the Pirates to be in a stage where if Holton plays without making mistakes, then ECU can win. Like, he can have a decent game and not make mistakes, and we still win.
Right.
This game, I felt like he played decent. We've seen him play better, but I feel like it's because we played USF that we were able to walk away with a seemingly dominant-looking win, in the kind of fashion that we did. It was a great game, and it's good to grab this momentum quickly before we head into, Memphis and Navy.
And, well, now think about this, kind of what you were saying here. It kind of starts at the top, right? It starts at the helm here. So if the quarterback plays well, and it kind of bleeds into the rest of the offense and the rest of the team as a whole in that regard. So there you have it. Victorious this past week. Now taking a look at this upcoming weekend, this Saturday at 3 p.m., Temple is coming to town, taking on the East Carolina Pirates here at Dowdy-Ficklen. And the question to you and to everybody here at the table, what are we thinking about this one? Predictions time. This is a game, another one that we should chuck up into the win column. I'll start with Brennan. What do you got?
Cool. So I'm thinking, well, Temple hasn't won a single game against the only conference opponent they've beaten is Memphis, who sits at the bottom of the conference along with Temple. They've lost to Cincinnati, lost to UCF, lost to USF. The Pirates are not underdogs in this game. They should be walking in with their heads high and focused on getting the job done and not getting defeated by a team that they can easily beat. As far as a score prediction, I'm thinking 35-17. I think our defense is going to pull out a lot of big stops. I feel like we're going to get like 2 picks this game. But yeah, I just don't expect a whole lot out of Temple, and I think ECU can roll over them pretty easily.
Some of the scores I want to throw at you here before I get the opinions and predictions from you two. Rutgers beat them up 61-14 earlier in the year. Boston College beat them 28-3. Temple did beat Wagner 41-7, but that's Wagner. Temple did beat Memphis by a hair, 34-31. Cincinnati stomped on them 52-3.
That's expected. Yeah.
South Florida, our previous opponent that we just played, beat them 34-14. So if that's all that you need to know here, and UCF beat them 49-7.
Right.
So I will take it to Max for the next prediction.
I was thinking I was going to go a little bit higher scoring for Temple, but I think I'm going to stick with 14, and I'm going to go around 14-36. I'm predicting a little bit weird. I know we've been struggling with our kicking this season, so I'm going to predict maybe a couple close field goals. Maybe we struggle to punch it in, but I'm going Pirates to win 36-14.
I'm going to say like 38-14, maybe 38-7. I'll say 38-17 because, like you said, our kicks have been a little bit off, but there's no reason that we shouldn't beat Temple, and there's no reason we shouldn't beat them big because they've shown us this season that they're not going to put up a bunch of numbers, especially in the conference, and we can. We've had a lot of close losses that we should have won, but if they can't even get close losses to our losses, then they're not going to win.
100%. I'd have to agree, with that one.
This, for me, I think you got to come out slinging the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you just got to throw it down their throats. You got to sling it as far as you can. You throw a pick, let the defense get out there, do what they've been doing all season. Let Holton throw it, use the run to pick up some of those yards on first, second down, then let us throw the ball.
You might see a receiving explosion here in this game.
I hope
Very
so.
possible.
I also really like the play calling this game early in the counts, early on the downs. A lot of throwing on first and second down. Not a lot of running, trying to pick up those yards a little bit early, taking off the pressure on Holton on third down, because he has not been nearly as successful on third down when he's in third and long situations. So by getting him to throw early, we've been setting ourselves up in successful situations where Rajay can get those 2-3 yards for us.
I'm going to go kind of similar with a little bit. I'm going to take a piece from each of you. I'm going to go 38-13.
13.
You said 17. I got 38-13. Also kind of a funky score. I like what you said, too, as well. You're kind of like, I don't know about the kicking. Has been a little bit of an issue for this ECU team. I'll go 38-13. This would be an explosion for this offense to really take flight here and stomp on them, a team that we should very well take and handle business with. So, there you have it here. ECU football in action this Saturday. 3 p.m. start. 3 p.m. in the afternoon this Saturday. Hopefully the weather should be good. We do have rain entering later on in the week, but it should be all sun by the time Saturday rolls around. I'm going to throw it over to Markayla, who's got some more information for the rest of the sports here at ECU.
So soccer is officially over. They played yesterday at SMU. They lost 1-2 in a close game. That was the first AAC conference game, so now their season is over. Did pretty good this season. We've made it into the playoffs 3 out of the last 4 seasons. They did it. They usually get out early, but we have more years to come, so they're going to practice. And then we have volleyball, and they're having 2 home games this weekend, one Friday at 6 and one Sunday at noon against USF and UCF. So those will be here, so you can check those out as well.
Excellent. Any updates with what is going on with lacrosse?
No updates so far. Just finishing up their fall ball season, working on practicing. Like I said in the last few episodes, I'm expecting some big things this season.
I'm hoping so, too. Now, ECU baseball in action this weekend, purple gold action. Not too sure of the times. All we know is that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they're going to be scrimmaging each other in the purple gold. Yes, and they meet the Pirates. That's right.
Yep, Sunday after the game, which we don't know the times yet.
Bring everyone you want. Kids, friends, relatives, neighbors, pets, everybody you want to bring over to
meet the Pirates. Is it free to students?
I believe so. I believe it's free to everyone.
Free to everyone, so make sure you go out and support the Pirates. Baseball should be good this year.
Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Is that everything we got, ladies and gentlemen?
Well,
that will complete episode 9 here of TECSpertZ. Thank you all for watching and listening along. Please keep in mind that TECSpertZ is sponsored by the Big Vape Theory and East Carolina University's Office of Undergraduate Research. And, just in case you weren't aware, TECSpertZ is a collaboration between WZMB and the East Carolinian. Signing off here, Anthony, Markayla, Max, and Brennan. We'll see you next time.
Yep.